Indian country is way different, than what you consume in the electronic media or in cinema or in books or whatever. Uh, what I think what people should do if they want to know something about American Indians is to frankly get to know somebody. Uh, try and ask yourself this question. When's the last time you had lunch with an American Indian person? When's the last time you went to the movies with an American Indian person? Or which one of your friends are American Indian? Um, the other thing, too, is if you do know an American Indian person, I mean, do they dress like you? I think you'll find that they usually do. They wear shirts from department stores and jeans from the Walmart and just like every other person does. Um, but if you don't know somebody, if you don't know an American Indian, then what will happen is that you have this idea of who they are, based on what you've consumed in the media. There's this really good test, that I like to do when I'm allowed to, and sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. But I like to talk to an elementary school teacher, usually in second and fourth grades. They study American Indians, and usually, if I can talk to the school teacher, and I'll say something like, "Well, I want you to talk to them about American Indians," and then ask them if they would draw a picture of an American Indian. Now, these are second and fourth graders. These are the next generation. And 9 times out of 10, they'll draw a picture of a person wearing beads and feathers, carrying tomahawks, or maybe they've one I saw recently was a picture of a tomahawk, an Indian carrying a tomahawk in the head of a person that had been decapitated. Now, you have to ask yourself, how did these kids, second and fourth graders, how did these kids come up with that idea? Was it taught to them? They consume it in the media? How? And then the second thing is, how do we teach them, that we're not like that? There's so few American Indian people left in the United States. A third of all American Indians do live on American Indian reservations or in communities, native communities around the country. But 2/3 of American Indians live, which is the majority, live next door to you. We live down the block, or, they work at the department stores. Or they're bricklayers or roofers. They lay the carpet in the buildings, or they build the buildings, or they design the buildings, or they're doctors, or they're lawyers, or they're teachers, or they're producers like you are. But if you ask a person, this might be too long for but now I'm going to tell you. Not long ago, I was going to a conference in Las Vegas. Well, I live on the east end of the United States, so I have to take a long flight from Washington over to Las Vegas. And the airplane is packed. And I just can't sit that long anyway. I'm a big guy, and I can't sit next to... And this other guy was very large, sitting next to me. So I got up and I went to the back of the plane. I'm at the back of the plane, and after the hostesses start serving, I'm standing there by myself. She comes back. She goes, "Can I help you?" I go, "I'm just going to stand here if that's okay." "Sure, no problem." So she comes back, and she's talking to me. "Hi, my name is Lois, and I live in Ohio, and I have children." And she's telling me her life story, and it's wonderful. Now, I'm wearing blue jeans and a light blue shirt and a tie and a cap that says Native Pride on it. And that's my uniform. That's what I wear every day. And she says, she goes, "Well, let me ask you, what do you do for a living? You know everything about me. What do you do for a living?" And I'm just about to tell her. And then I said, "What do you think I do for a living?" And she looked at me and she goes, Let me see your hands. And so I held my hands out there. My hands are like marshmallows. I just use them to write with. And she says, I think you work construction. I said, okay. And the other hostess comes back there and she says, hey, what do you think this guy does for a living? She looks me over and she goes, I think you're a truck driver. And I said, okay. And she goes, well, what do you do? What do you do for a living? So I pulled out my card and I said, I'm an ethics professor at Penn State University. I said, yeah. And she goes, well, I thought you said you were an American Indian. And I couldn't believe that. Why couldn't I, why couldn't I be who I am and what I do and still be Native? Well, I went and sat down, but how many people are like her, and think that. So American Indian identity in the 21st century is extremely important. We're still here, we're still here. And we do a myriad of things, Indian country, there's really no such thing as Indian country, because there's not one place you can go to and say, this is how Indians are, we're all over, and we're woven into the fabric of diversity that is the United States of America. I think we're probably one of the first threads